10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All systems go.
You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by.
On the morning shift.
Anything
Could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
And good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. Glad to be here with you. Thankful that you're here with us. We got a great show planned for you today. As usual, we have some special guests joining us. Tom Price and Bob Johnston will be joining us and discussing what they believe they've found to be maybe an oversight with the city and the budget with the arena and the amount that we are told that it's going to cost compared to some of their analysis. And so we're looking forward to that. And I very much agree. I pretty much know they're going to say it's more than likely going to cost more than what we're being told. And that's something that I've been saying from day one. Just not even including the tariffs situation that's going to drive up costs in the future. But even before that, I'm sure we'll dive into that with them right after the weather. And so we're going to dive right into the show. We're live on CKLU 96.7 FM on terrestrial radio, cklu.ca on the internet, streaming with the Radio Player Canada app. You just click on the app on the website, cklu.ca, or you can download it and take us with you. Listen to us anywhere, anytime on your favorite device. So remember to like and share our social medias because we're live streaming on facebook.com/Sudbury News, youtube.com/Sudbury News, and also comment. We'll do our best to get your comments up on the screen today. I don't know about red because we'll probably be having an in-depth discussion about the cost of the arena and some of the analysis from these two fine gentlemen this morning. But if I see some comments that come up that we can ask them, we'll get them read for them and get your questions for them. So we'll dive in with the weather to begin with. We'll be back with Tom Price and Bob Johnston right after this. And weather brought to you by Voyager Tire. As you can see from the satellite there, there's a little bit of clearing at the moment. Today, at the moment, it's -6 degrees. It's going to feel like -7. There's some freezing fog, and it's all over the trees if you haven't noticed. Mainly sunny today. Fog patches dissipating in the morning. The wind chill will be -10 in the morning. Tonight, clearing. Wind chill -18 overnight. Low of -8. Overnight. Friday, sunny, and the wind chill will be -14 in the morning, a high of 8 degrees tomorrow. So it's going to get a little warmer. Friday, sunny, 8 degrees, sunny and 10 degrees on Saturday, mix of sun and cloud, and 12 on Sunday. So look at this weekend. It's shaping up to be incredible compared to what we just went through. 40% chance of showers on Monday, and then a 60 with a high of 10, 60% chance of showers or flurries on Tuesday with a high of +2, and then a 30% chance of precipitation and the chance of flurries, high of +1 on Wednesday. So we're not done with the flurries as of yet. And there's a look at your satellite. And that's your weather brought to you by Voyager Tire. Visit them online at voyagertire.com or at the intersection of the Kingsway, Falcon Bridge, and 2nd Avenue. Let them know that we sent you and get a 10% discount on already discounted name brand tires. We'll be back with news. The news headline of the day, the new arena being built, and maybe some questions that we have for how much that is going to cost with our guests, Tom Price and Bob Johnston. We'll be back right after this. Okay, and without further ado, we'd like to welcome our guests on the show, starting with Bob. So, Bob, we had a little bit of time last night to work out the technical difficulties. You had to download an app and whatever, and here we are. We're live this morning, so I'm glad that all that is out of the way and we're able to have a discussion. And you've brought with you a friend of yours, Tom Price, and together you guys are kind of looking into what the city has projected the budget to be for the arena, and you guys are pretty much saying, maybe we need to look a bit deeper. Is that pretty much where we're at?
That's exactly where we're at. The icing on the cake for this arena and stuff was a council meeting on February the 18th, where there's a fellow by the name of Mr. Sakuti who stated that there's no way the Sudbury taxpayers or whatever in Sudbury is going to cost them more than $200 million. Then from there, it went to Tyler Clark at Sudbury.com stating our names and that we were liars. We dug into the facts from the city and so on and so on. And it'll be a good eye opener, exactly what reality really is in the city. We're all about the truth and the facts, and we do care about all the residents and our taxes. So I'm going to introduce you over here to Tom Price, and we'll take it from there.
Sounds good. And good morning, Bob. And thanks for that. And good morning, Tom. If you can move the camera over a little bit more. And pretty cool. Yeah, it looks like you're in the view there. Good morning, Tom. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing fine. Thank you.
Great. So tell us a little bit about, what you guys, you've been... First of all, you and Bob are working together on this, to look more into what the arena has said that it was going to cost, and then you've done some analysis. So I have a question that, have you noticed something lately with, the way journalism has gone? We talk about this at length on the show. It's kind of like it seems like what you guys are doing right now is what our journalists should be doing, really, right? Isn't that the job of a journalist, to be digging in and looking into seeing if there's something to find out? If the city says it's going to cost a certain amount and someone says, hey, I think it's going to cost more, wouldn't a journalist usually go, hey, I need to cover this and find the facts? Or like, what's happened here? Sounds like you guys are doing independent journalism.
Well, yes, in a way, you're right. Investigative journalism in Greater Sudbury no longer exists. Okay, and that's true in many of the news media today. They are more about, politicizing whatever they're seeing, and instead of reporting what they're seeing. And instead of just reporting what they're seeing, they should be investigating to find out. For example, the individual who accused the social media of lying and being liars, if he was doing his job properly, those are constituents within the city that he represents. He should have done them the courtesy and the due diligence of contacting them and saying, can we discuss this so I can understand your point of view? He did not do that. So even from that point, there is no reporting other than what social media and YouTube and that are doing.
And it's interesting, as we see, there's a lot of talk in high levels of government to shut down social media these days because they call it disinformation and misinformation. And that we should just be relying on the mainstream media to be telling us what's true. And just from hearing from what you were saying, and it's been my experience as well, that's pretty dangerous because we find a lot of times just people like yourself and myself are the ones trying to dig a little bit. And it seems like people in the mainstream media, they just give the talking points. They'll just get a press release, let's say, and, oh, good, my story's done for me almost. I'll just publish that and I'm not going to ask any questions. And I've kind of drilled it down to the fact that they're subsidized so heavily by the government that they can't really be true watchdogs over the government because they're being paid by the very government that they're there to keep accountable. And like you mentioned, they should be accountable to the constituents, to the city, the citizens, not to, these corporations or governments or whatever. They should be digging and trying to find out things for citizens and being accountable to them. So you guys found yourself in a bit of a kind of, you're trying to get to the bottom of something, and then here you have a reporter that's kind of calling you out and saying, "Oh, it's disinformation." I guess I'm not familiar with the article that he wrote, and you're speaking of Tyler Clark from Sudbury.com, which he also wrote a hit piece on me as well, saying all I do is talk about conspiracy theories and disinformation and things like that. And I invited him on the show. I said, "Hey, Tyler, come on the show and let us know a little bit about what you're talking about." He says, No, I can't be bothered to come on your show. And I'm like, wouldn't that be great? Like, hey, if you're in the right and all I'm talking about is conspiracy theories, you should be jumping at the chance to come on the show and show your side, and you know what I mean? And if you're a reporter, you're going to have lots of information to back yourself up, and you're going to make me look like, you're going to make me look like Swiss cheese in my kind of arguments and things that I'm putting out there. So you'd think he'd jump at the chance, but no, he kind of put his head down and said, "I'm too good for that." And he's just going to hide behind his words. So that's been my experience with this particular reporter of that particular news outlet. And on this show, we just like to find out what's really going on. And so that's why when Bob reached out to me, I thought, you know what? Let's see what you guys have kind of uncovered. And I think we are accountable to the citizens of this city, this province, and this country. And so what have you guys been able to kind of uncover here?
Well, maybe first of all, I'd just like to take a couple seconds and mention that this is our second meeting. We had a closed session meeting by reservation only for a very small group of about, I think it was about 10 or 12, to quickly go through the presentation and make sure that we're on good ground on everything. The first person to respond was Tyler Clark and wanted a reservation. We gave him one. He never showed.
Oh.
So that tells you a little bit there. However, the disinformation thing is, you're absolutely right, and it's rampant. And people who come to the meeting tonight will see how the disinformation has been used to promote some agenda that we're not sure what their agenda is, but it certainly isn't in favor of the public. For example, this whole event center was sold to the city in a large project meeting in 2015, where the event center was valued at $60 million. The developer would be paying for it, enjoying the borrowing rate of the city, but it would be his cost, and returning a tax revenue, a property tax revenue to the city of $500 million. Okay? I'm sorry, $500,000, not million. However, by 2024, that has risen to a published $200 million that you're hearing about, that has a, when you include interest, a cost of $389 million, and has a negative in property value taxes. Not only does the new event center not generate any property taxes, they've wiped out property taxes from successful businesses in the site. So we've gone 180 degrees on something desirable.
So I just want to kind of reiterate. So you're going to be having a meeting tonight. So if you can let everybody know where the meeting's going to be and what they can expect from the meeting. And then I want to get to how you said there's some lost revenue in taxes too that they're not considering because they've kind of expropriated a lot of businesses in the downtown core that were paying taxes. So first of all, the meeting tonight, where is it? What time is it at? And what can people expect?
Okay, it will be at the Grace Family Church, and it's at Burton and what's the other one, Bob? Jean Street and the Donovan.
Yeah.
Okay. It's an old Catholic church that has been purchased by Grace Family Church, and we are in the basement of it, starting at 6:30.
So 6:30 start. Okay, on the corner of Jean and Burton.
Yep.
Perfect. And what can people expect at the meeting?
They can expect to see not only disinformation on the cost, but disinformation on the whole way the project has been justified. Okay? From the very start, the very first presentation by PricewaterhouseCoopers on it was disinformation. Now, there's disinformation and misinformation. Misinformation is innocent making a mistake. Disinformation is deliberately altering the facts to suit a purpose. And what they're going to see tonight is several examples of disinformation that are absolutely gross. And we have city documentation to prove every point we make.
Okay. And so I know that Tyler Clark has taken, you guys to task in the media, obviously, because he has a platform to speak from, and you're not able to speak back to him. And that's what he kind of, from my experience, he likes to be in that position because he doesn't have to be accountable for what he says. Whereas I do, people comment all the time and hold me accountable. If I say something wrong, the comments come right up, and a lot of time I'm thankful for that. I might mention a wrong date, or I might say something and the audience quickly corrects me, and I'm grateful for that, because I'm not about pushing forward my agenda here on this show. I'm about trying to be accountable to the people of Sudbury for understanding what's going on around us. And I think that's what news is supposed to do. It's supposed to try to get to the bottom of things and inform their citizens of what's really happening in their community. Now, I want to get to, so that's tonight at 6:30, and I would encourage everyone to go. Obviously, there's no cost for this, correct?
Correct.
And are there going to be any people from the city? Like what? So Tyler Clark is, the media, you guys have got some pushback from him. Any pushback from people in the city? Have you been given any kind of legal documents like, hey, you better stop talking about this or we'll pursue legal action? Anything like that from the city?
We've had no contact whatsoever from anyone with the city, including, Sudbury Star. And Sudbury Star had been response from the city, but directly we've had no contact.
So the Sudbury Star had the city kind of respond to a particular subject or something to do with this?
Yes.
Okay. But nothing to you guys directly.
Nothing.
So you talked about the negative, taxes now that were being collected by the city that now are not anymore, because there was, I don't know how many businesses, right? You got the bakery, you got Wacky Wings, you got the coffee shop right across from the arena. You got all kinds of businesses, the doghouse, all creating, bringing in revenue from taxes. So they're no longer bringing in the taxes, and this is where the event center is now going to be. So what are the calculations? Have you done any kind of calculations on the amount of taxes potentially they're losing?
No, we haven't been able to source that. So what we're resorting to now is the assessed value of those properties is available to us, and we will be going through and applying the appropriate taxation rate that the city publishes to calculate them. But that's all we can do. We can't verify that that's actually what they're paying.
Okay. Well, at least you'll get an estimate, and it'll be an educated estimate anyways, so a ballpark.
Yes, it will be.
And that's all we can ask for, and at least it gives a perspective. Okay, so some more of these figures. Originally, we know... go ahead.
Just before we go any further, Bob wanted to add something, if you may.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Bob.
Okay, so Aaron, what happens is them building the properties or buying the properties and tearing everything down and so on was so premature. They wanted to make it to be impossible to stop this project, okay? The taxes, what we lose from last year, property taxes, all the employment and everything else was just totally ridiculous. They might be building it in 2027 or maybe 28 or maybe 29. Well, remember, people, 2026 is an election year and things can change quickly. And once the truth and the facts come out, I don't know where we're going to be standing. That's all.
Good point. Good point. Yeah, they were very aggressive. And we have someone here, I think it was Larry, who says he's a builder and it takes him like 8 months to get a permit. And he was surprised at how fast the city was able to get these things done because it's the city giving themselves permits. So there are some nefarious things according to what Larry's pointing out here. He's a builder. And why does it take him so long if he has a project he's doing to get permits, whereas the city was able to go out very quickly and get these permits and get the job done kind of thing. So questionable there as well, right?
Well, not only that, if Larry tells you everything, he will also inform you that once he does get the permit, that doesn't mean he can build what he got the permit based on, because when the inspectors come in, they can change their mind and he can be faced with a whole different picture.
Wow. Yeah, I know. And I've always, I worked for an organization called the Canadian Federation of Independent Business for a few years. And Sudbury is known as the hardest community in Canada to do business in due to all of the regulations and red tape that we have. Many businesses refuse to locate here due to that. And the costs on top of that, after you build, you're just taxed. There's no tax relief for businesses or anything. So it's really hard for anyone to do business, but it seems like the city was able to do it no problem and get the job done practically overnight, right? So in some may applaud that and say, well, they had their goal. They were able to do it quickly. You know, in China, they can build a hospital in 7 days or a bridge in a week or whatever. We take so long to do things here, but there can't be a double standard at the same time. If you're going to do this, you should make it the same for everyone. Make it quick, a quick process. Like I like that idea, but if the city's able to do it and no one else is able to do it, well, then that's, you know, it's just a double standard. And I think people need to question that. Okay. So,
well, sorry. One of the things that you could question quite easily on the event center, it's been 10 years since this was proposed, and we're no closer now, according to Mr. Security, we're no closer now than we were in 2015.
Yeah.
We
so
still
again,
do not have a Class D estimate.
So to take people back, if they're not aware, we had basically like a referendum in the city. It wasn't a referendum, it was a vote, but it was one of the first ones where social media was taken into it. And you can see people commenting on the live of the city. And people were very opposed to the event center being built downtown. They had a bad taste in their mouth for downtown. People were really upset. And along came Dario Zulich and his proposal to build the event center on the Kingsway outside of downtown. We like the idea of this business person basically able to do something the city wasn't able to do. People got on board. They loved the idea of having this, you know, and so they forced their councillors to take a vote, and council voted that, yes, it would be built by a private developer on the Kingsway with city partnership. Basically what that would look like would be ironed out, but everyone voted on it, and that's where it ended up. And then later, many years later, there's all kinds of lawsuits and things and red tape and regulations and things that we just talked about that made it impossible for that project to go ahead. And then they kiboshed it because it was going to cost $200 million.
Yes,
they said, no, we can't build this because it's going to cost $200 million.
Well, that was because at the same time, the city said the budget cost would be $100 million. When the bid came back, it was $217 million. So was that disinformation or misinformation or just bad engineering by the city?
And costs go up. Like you said, this project was delayed, Now, anyone will tell you costs are going to go up when a project is delayed, including this one. And I'm sure this is part of your analysis as well. Like by the time this is built, costs that they're projecting for now could even double by some people who are into economics have forecasted, economists.
No. What we're presenting tonight does not try to forecast anything down the road. All we're doing is presenting the information that we had available in contrast to what was actually fed to council and to the public. That's all we're addressing. And the misinformation that went to council and the public compared to what is on paper by the city is awesome. We did not try to project any cost for escalation beyond 2024.
So that doesn't even take into account inflation or projecting that costs will go up in any way, shape, or form due to tariffs. That's just with the information we have now. That's just with if all the costs stayed the same. You guys are saying it's going to cost way more.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what the people will see tonight as the background for that.
Great. So the city is projecting, what is the city saying this event center ultimately is going to cost taxpayers?
As far as we know, $200 million.
My goodness. So they're sticking with $200 million.
That's right.
And what have you uncovered if you have through all of your analysis, what are the costs actually going to be according to your analysis when it's all said and done?
In excess of $500 million, $500 million.
So it's going to more than double that.
Yes.
Their projections. And that's if costs don't go up now. That's if all costs remain the same, which they're not going to.
That's right.
So this could be a $1 billion project by 2029 or whatever if it takes that long.
Well, it could go any which way or it could get canceled. And quite frankly, how council could take and cancel a project of $217 million and immediately approve borrowing for $225 million. Why? What reasoning went into their thinking?
And they got approval very fast too. Like no one on council really. So councilors, how did everybody vote on this? Were all the councilors unanimous with all this budget information? No.
Councilors Zagnini and Bill LeDuc was for it. I have the list of who all voted for it, but no, Zagnini was against it. Said the numbers weren't real.
Okay.
And it turns out they weren't, because when the bid came in, it was $217.7 million. And that does not include offsite costs and a number of other costs.
So the city isn't really including like a comprehensive, like they're just kind of cherry picking some costs and saying it's going to cost this, but they're not then taking into account all of the other costs that surround that.
Well, the biggest one is interest on the borrowed money is $164 million in interest that has to be added to that cost. We have to pay that interest. That's a cost to taxpayers. So even if you say that it's limited to the $164 million in interest plus the 200, that's still $364 million by my adding. So it can't possibly be done for $200 million according to their numbers even.
Now, and this is the thing, and again, we should have had this arena event center done 20 years ago, let alone 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. We are the only OHL city that doesn't have either a refurbished arena or a new arena. We're the only one. So every other city in the OHL was able to do it. They were able to get it done somehow.
Yes.
And Sudbury was not. So that's my frustration on my end. Like, what the heck? And like I said earlier, it's known to be the hardest city in Canada to get anything done, business-wise, building-wise.
But you have to keep in mind the Price Waterhouse presentation in 2017. In 2017, they told council, and I was at the council meeting, Ron Bedolka from Price Waterhouse told council that the city of Sudbury could not support an event center financially.
Wow. But who are they to say this? Like, what do they know about this kind of stuff?
Well, they're the one that done the study for these arenas, and he made that statement. And now the city has hired Ron Bedolka to help them go ahead with this event center, I understand.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not. We're about honesty. We only report what we know, okay? And Ron Bedolka's been hired, as I understand, BBB principal, Mr. Bainan, has also been hired. He did the report in 2024. But the whole premise of why this wasn't feasible in Sudbury was overcome by the market study they did. And you'll see the results of that tonight. And it's gross. Absolutely gross.
In two ways. If you take the French version of it, it's overpriced. It's gros, and it's gross in terms of the English version of it's just a terrible thing. Now, are you guys going to be live streaming this?
Yes, we are.
So
we'll be live streaming. Sorry?
So let's say I'm not able to make it to the actual meeting physically. How can I participate virtually?
If you log into the Michael Vagnini Facebook, it will be live streamed to the Facebook.
So you're using Michael Vagnini's Facebook to stream it?
Yes.
Interesting.
And that's because the person doing the filming is his daughter. So.
Okay. That's very interesting. Now, I wasn't sure if I was going to bring this up or not, but I see it a lot in the comments. Many people missing Michael Vagnini as counselor, and they really appreciated his, the way that he served the community. And so has there been any kind of looking into some of the instances surrounding, I would say, his suspicious death, just due to all of the inconsistencies surrounding it? Have you heard anything in terms of investigations or anything, or is that case closed?
The case is not closed, but it wouldn't be appropriate for me to comment on them right now because the investigation is still open. Okay.
Well, at least we know that, because it sounded like through the media they just wanted to kind of close everything off and then move on and forget about everything, and life goes on kind of thing. And I've seen, just as an independent journalist myself, there's been so many red flags with that whole thing that, I mean, anybody in kindergarten would know that it needs some further looking into. There were just too many unanswered questions there. So
I agree wholeheartedly with you.
Yeah. And we've already talked, and all of the things, all of the reasons, and they're very just common. Like I said, a child could know. And that's the thing that I don't understand about this city sometimes. They almost think people that dumb? Like, really? Like, you're familiar with the emperor with no clothes?
Yep. Well, and it's really ironic that Councillor Vagnini was investigated by the Integrity Commissioner because he supposedly lied. And now we have a councillor accusing social media people of being liars.
So which councillor would that be?
It's Michael Perron.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
So Mike is on this show quite often, so I could ask him. So what do you know that he has said about about social media and people lying or whatever, disinformation on social media?
Well, what he said in council. He said that all of these numbers and that are lies. Social media is telling these lies, and that's disruptive to the community. Soon as he said social media, some people on social media are saying that the cost is going to be much more, which are lies. He identified everybody. Because all the people that have made those comments have identified themselves on social media. So he called them indirectly, said that each of those individuals was a liar. And by the way, I personally have filed an IC complaint about him.
Okay. And that's good. And you sound like a very, calm, well thought out, person. You're very articulate. You're not like me. I kind of just burst out and say things flippantly and whatever, and then I have to backtrack and things because I get a little bit emotional when I'm speaking about issues. But you're very, you seem to go through a process, and you're just about the facts, and you're less about emotions. And I think it needs someone like yourself to be able to be looking at something like this, because it would be very easy to kind of get emotional with what's happening, because this is taxpayers' money, first of all, and that's everybody. If they realized the real cost, they would get emotional about it, because you're like, what are you doing with my money?
Well, and the reason that I am is I spent several years with Inco Limited as superintendent of project management and conceptual engineering. I've had experience on a project that today would be worth $3.2 billion. I put together the conceptual report, estimates, and everything else with the help of a couple of hundred people, of course. But my name is on that report. So I've been through this on bigger projects than this. And I know what businesses have to do.
Go ahead.
I know what businesses have to do in order to justify their projects. And I hear comments today, well, it's too late, we've already got too much invested. Well, the one that I did work on, we put a pause to it in 1975 when we had already spent what would today be $100 million. Okay? We put a pause on it. We actually canceled the project, and then it came back later because we had to do something about it, so it came back. So when people tell me it's too late, you got too much invested, it's never too late to cancel something wrong.
No, you're right. And
sorry.
No, that's exactly right. And I think that's what maybe certain factions or actors in our council and in the city are afraid of. If this information gets out, that it will indeed, there'll be a public pushback to the point that they've already kind of gone so far. It'll be egg on a lot of their faces, right? And I don't think politically it could be the end of their political careers. And I think so they have a lot invested in this, not any money, but our money, but they have their reputations invested in this. And if it comes back at them, it might actually, they might lose the next election. As Bob pointed out, there's an election year coming up.
And Bob wants to say something.
Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, so basically Sudbury is living the fantasy island dream where we always put our wants before our needs, and it's got to be changed around. Okay, so the common sense would be to refurbish the arena, fix our damn roads, and our swimming pools, our playgrounds, and make our ambulances fit for the road mechanically. Like, the whole city has fallen apart, and all they want to do is live fantasy island dreams. Let's get back down to reality. Needs before wants, and we can change the city, but we all have to stick together. And like I said, this is all truth and facts, and we're glad that CKLU gave us the opportunity to speak on what actually is happening in this city. I'll give you back to talk. Thank you.
Great. And yeah, not only CKLU, also this will be found on demand immediately after the show on our YouTube channel and our Facebook page, including all the comments that I'm putting up on the screens. You have a lot of, if you go back and watch it, there's a lot of our viewers that are also joining in the conversation. They have a lot of really cool things to say as well. And a lot of them are going to be at the meeting tonight or joining virtually. And I think it's just something that we need in this city. I've always called for an audit. I think the city needs an audit by a third party organization, arm's length, and just to get people's confidence back into the city and what they're doing. Because I think there's a lot of overspending, misspending, money that's going all over the place. It's just my kind of feeling. And
Yes.
you can't have citizens having just feelings like I have. Like, in order to dispel it, they should say, look, I know you guys don't have much trust in us and you're thinking there's corruption, which I've read, I don't know how many times in comments there. They believe the city is corrupt. So if many of your citizens, instead of kiboshing their Facebook pages and shutting social media down and getting journalists to write hit pieces against people that are just trying to shine a light on things, why don't you just be transparent and do an audit and say, look, there's nothing to see here. And they say, well, it's going to cost too much money. Well, look at the experience and the background that you have. I'm sure there's someone out there who's a stellar accountant who would say, look, I'm retired. I know what I'm doing. I have a lot of experience, and I also love the city I live in, and I'm more than qualified to do an audit on the city. And it wouldn't even cost them anything. I bet you any money.
In that respect, a couple of years ago, the provincial government gave the city of Sudbury $200,000 to do an audit. They spent the money instead on identifying services that they may be able to eliminate to save money. So the audit never got done.
Interesting.
And I have the facts on that as well. But that won't be in tonight's presentation. But I have...
Yeah, you have to stick to the one subject. I mean, this could be like an octopus in terms of if you get off on a tangent of all the things you could be talking about, right? You got to stick to the subject.
Well, and you mentioned corruption, and my father used to have a saying about politics. He said, corruption, the web of corruption is far greater and far stronger than the strongest, most massive spider web you could find.
Your father was a wise man.
Yeah, he was. I wish I'd inherited some of it.
Well, I think you did. And I think a lot of our viewers have commented too that you're very level-headed and very articulate, and you got a good head on your shoulders. And I wish you guys all the best tonight at the meeting, that the meeting will go well, that you'll be able to deliver the information in a way that people will understand. Because a lot of people could get, kind of lulled to sleep when you're talking numbers. You know what I mean? You're like 250 million, billion, 100,000 here. And then eventually you just kind of just go into a trance, right? So in order to present this information in a way that people can actually go, wait a minute here, I understand all this.
Okay, well, are you planning on coming?
I have other obligations, unfortunately. I have a meeting for a board that I'm on. We only have one monthly meeting. And last time we didn't have quorum.
I was looking for someone who could walk around and shake those people that were nodding off.
Yeah, I might be a good person to do that for sure. Some of our viewers here, listeners, would be happy to do that as well. Now, I'll try and join virtually on Michael Vagnini's page, just as you mentioned, if people are just joining us. We're talking with Tom Price and Bob Johnston, who have taken upon themselves, because no one else was doing it, to really look at the costs of what the event center is going to actually cost taxpayers. They're going to have a meeting tonight at Grace Family Church on the corner of Jean and Burton, 6:30. It's going to be in the basement, but they're also going to be broadcasting their presentation on Michael Vagnini, former councillor of Greater Sudbury's Facebook page. And so if you can't make it, you can join virtually, which I will be doing, because I have a virtual meeting at 7. So it's the timing doesn't work out for me, but I'll still have it on. I'll watch the first half hour, and then I'll be kind of like in two places at once after that. So
if I could make one more comment, if possible.
Yes, you can. We got 1 minute.
Okay. All I'd like to do is say that this isn't just the work of Bob Johnson and Tom Price. There's been many, many people from the city involved in putting this together, and we owe a debt of gratitude to all of them.
Okay. Yes,
Okay.
for sure.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
it takes a village sometimes, and I think you have a lot of citizens behind you who may not have been aware that you guys were doing this, right? And this is why you need to have a public meeting, and you'll need to use social media to get the word out and let people make their own decisions. If it's misinformation or disinformation, it should be easy to show the other side instead of just name calling. That's what I find when people aren't able to debate or argue their point. It just ends up in name calling, and they walk away. Where, to me, that just shows who's in the right.
Exactly.
You know. So I wish you guys all the best and of luck, and you're welcome to come on the show anytime. All you have to do is reach out to me and say, hey, we got something else we wanted to discuss on the show. You guys have been really great guests today, and our audience has been very, very communicative here in the comments with you guys, and they agree it was a great show. So thank you guys very much for being on today.
Thank you for having us.
And on behalf of us, Aaron, CKLU, we want to thank you for what you guys do, because truth and facts are the world. So thank you guys too so much for doing your work.
No problem at all. It was our pleasure. Okay, so thanks everyone for joining us today. We appreciate you. Remember to stay aware, like, share, take care. We'll be on the show tomorrow on the same platforms, God willing, at the same times. And stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7 FM. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. And ciao, everyone. We'll see you guys same time, same place tomorrow. Ciao.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.